Hi, I'm Warren Sprouse. You're on the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We look at life through a biblical lens. We try to solve all the world's problems in 2 hours or less. We're in the beginning of our show this week, December 18th, and we're going to be looking at some of the news that maybe you didn't get. This one you probably have heard until you're sick of it. But I wanted to share it with you in case somebody was living in outer Slumbonia and they don't have it. If you have a Galaxy Note 7 cell phone, you got to get rid of it. Get it back to these people. You thought you could hang on to it and it wouldn't matter because I don't have the kind and Well, you got to rethink your strategy. Samsung has just announced plans to shut off your phone. They call it disabling the affected phones. It's going to be done remotely, probably in the middle of the night. You'll wake up. The alarm will not have gone off. I don't know. Those of you who could have turned them in for replacement are now just going to be out of a phone. Apparently, they can't fix the problem. Somebody told me it's just too big a battery. They're just trying to get you more and more time, and it just isn't working. Originally, they thought the problem was a particular batch of batteries from a particular supplier, but now the battery, the phone, it's the problem. 2% of Americans have had someone post an explicit photo or video of them on social media or text. I read recently of a pastor whose wife was making the rounds in one of these nude things. Somebody got a hold of his phone. He gave his phone to somebody, a businessman of some sort, to do something. I've forgotten now what it was. I guess he put some information. They had to copy this information. Well, he copied a picture of the guy's wife, a naked picture of the preacher's wife. I know. In my day, in anybody's mind who's still functioning properly, that ain't happening. Why would you take a picture of your naked wife? Why would she pose for one? And a preacher? A lot of other people have faced the same threat. It amounts to about 4% of Americans, according to a survey. Now, 4% doesn't sound like a lot. It's over 10 million people. The conclusion here is that, according to the experts, the non-consensual pornography can have a devastating and lasting impact on victims. That's like saying today's Sunday. So it's vital that we understand how common this is and who is affected. That, according to the author of the study. We have to understand and we have to get this information into our system. He says let's not run around taking naked or suggestive photos of ourselves or others. No, he didn't suggest that. He suggested that we have a common understanding, that we understand these things can happen, so be careful. I said, let's not run around taking naked pictures or suggestive photos of ourselves. Beginning tomorrow, December 19th, 2016, the state of Texas will require hospitals and abortion facilities to bury what they refer to as the products of induced human abortion. In normal English, that means Texas is now requiring abortion clinics to bury the dead, bury the babies that they've killed. Till now, they have treated those babies as medical waste. Texas is recognizing that, at least for the purposes of burial, preborn persons are equivalent to people with a birth certificate. Now, they got critics. You know they would. And the critics are calling it legislating a personal belief. Texas says it's just plain scientific reality. Fetuses prior to abortion, according to them, are 1, living, 2, human, and 3, separate persons. Those are scientific facts. And they're not dead. Not yet. And they're not just clumps of tissue. And they have a physical and genetic existence separate from their mothers. So they shouldn't be treated like needles and bandages and tumors and ingrown toenails. Now the question here is, why not assert that these fetuses are actually baby humans who deserve respect? Well, the answer to that question is it would violate the law. That's how sad this story is. The U.S. Supreme Court has determined that these fetuses are not human. Now, that decision was based on the best medical advice available in 1975, before sonograms, before four-dimensional sonograms, when the prevailing medical opinion was that a fetus in the first trimester was no different than any other mammal of the same stage. Of course, nobody had ever seen one in utero, but that was their opinion. And they had drawings. People had made drawings of these babies. And they looked just like monkeys or, pretty much any other kind of mammal. Is that true? Any other mammal. Well, technology has changed. And nothing, the abortion critics argued, has changed. But the abortion crowd has a whole new set of facts to work with, if there are truly scientists among them. The New York Times has come out. Managing editor says, quote, "We know nothing about religion or the role it plays in people's lives." In an interview on WNYC's program called Fresh Air, New York Times executive editor Dean Baquet admits his paper knows nothing about religion or the role it plays in people's lives. He explained, "I think the New York-based, Washington-based too, probably, media powerhouses don't quite get religion. Now we have a fabulous religion writer, but she's all alone. One, we don't get it. We don't get the role of religion in people's lives, and I think we can do much better. I think there are things that we can be much more creative about to understand the country." Now, this is the newspaper that thinks Jesus' body is still buried in a Judean grave in Israel. When the archaeologists found what they believe is the burial place of Jesus, that's what they wrote in the New York Times. And they were serious. I don't know people that stupid, ignorant. There's also that time a reporter who was filing stories for the Vatican thought Easter was about Jesus' ascension into heaven. Apparently he didn't know that Jesus ascended to heaven 40 days after his resurrection, and that his resurrection is what Christians celebrate on Easter. The New York Times was also very confused about Protestant denominations. They very often cite the United Church of Christ as the largest Protestant denomination in America. It's not a Protestant denomination. But maybe the reason the Times thought they were so influential and important is because the United Church of Christ rejects biblical teachings on sexual morality. Hit a nerve here somewhere. Have you ever heard of an orbital kinetic kill vehicle? I had not. Well, Russia is reported to have launched one into space. It's a kind of kamikaze satellite. It's known as the Cosmos 2499. It's already up there. It's traveling at incredible speeds. And this satellite is designed to target American satellites as they orbited and obliterated them with a simple collision. China has launched its own satellite killer, one equipped with grapple arms. It's called the Xi'an. Other weapons pulled from the pages of science fiction include lasers and magnets. The Chinese satellite has performed at least one successful capture using its grapple arm capable of throwing other satellites out of order or stripping them of their useful parts. China also earned condemnation recently for self-destructing several of its own satellites and showering the area with dangerous high-speed debris. Russia has also been spotted using these weapons. Launched clandestinely along with 3 Russian communication satellites, it was at first believed to be simply debris resulting from the launch. When the object began to change and orbit, however, its propulsion capabilities became apparent. Russia's kept quiet about the craft, but many believe it to be another example of a once-defunct Soviet-era program called Satellite Fighter. Our world is getting entirely too interesting. That's been happening this week while you were busy working and taking out the trash.